Praise the Lord, my beautiful, blessed souls. Back with another word. We are in Numbers chapter 32. I believe my last two videos I put up, and I apologize for this. The first one was Numbers chapter 30. The second one was 31. And I think I did that by accident. I apologize. But yeah, they're not the same video. One is 30, the first one, and the second one is 31. And now we're in 32. So now there's a lot to unpack with this, so let's get into it. Now the people of Reuben. Now remember who Reuben is. Reuben is one of the children that he slept with his father's he was the one that Jacob had told, he wasn't going to allow him to get the firstborn blessing. He gave it to Joseph. And that's because of a lot of things. Reuben had a lot of, character traits and flaws that, this was the reason. Because remember, the males, the husbands, they're the priests. They give out the blessings, the inheritances. This is what all of this is about when they leave. So, right before he died. So Reuben, as we can see, about to see what's going to be going on with old Reuben. He got some issues still. And it says, now the people of Reuben and the people of Gad, which I was surprised about because I haven't heard too much about Gad. We're going to get into it. Had a very great number of livestock. And they saw the land of Jazer and the land of Gilead. And behold, the place was a place for livestock. So the people of Gad and the people of Reuben came to Moses and said to Eleazar the priest and to the chiefs of the congregation, Adaroth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Alela, Sabon, Nebo, and beyond. Right? So the land that the Lord struck down before the congregation of Israel is a land for livestock. And your servants have livestock. And they said, if we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servants for a possession. Do not take us across the Jordan. Now, why would this be something he would say? And we're going to get into this because this, after everything that has been done, so they don't want to go into the promised land. Why? We're going to break it down. But Moses said to the people of Gad and the people of Reuben, shall your brothers go to the war while you sit here? Meaning because they got to go take the land. Why would you discourage the heart of the people of Israel from going over to the land that the Lord has given them? Your fathers did this, remember, when I sent them for Kadesh Barnea to see the land, meaning when they scouted it out, remember? For when they went up to the valley of Escol and saw the land, they would discourage the heart of the people of Israel from going into the land that the Lord had given them. And so, and the Lord's anger was kindled on that day, and he swore, saying, surely none of the men, remember, who came up out of Egypt from 20 years and old, meaning the older ones, shall see that land that I swore to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me. So now none except Caleb the son of Jephunneh and Kenizzite and Joshua the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed the Lord. Those were the ones that, said they could take it. Now the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel. And this is the reason why he made them wander, if you remember, and killed them off in the wilderness for 40 years until all the generations that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was gone because they didn't believe. And behold, you have risen in your father's place abroad of sinful men to increase still more the fierce anger of the Lord against Israel. So meaning they're rising up to get, to allow this again for God to get angry with them. So it's like you're repeating the same old cycles and patterns, and we have to be very careful of this. This is how we get stuck. And remember that 40 years was a 40-year cycle. So if you turn away from following him, he will again abandon them into the wilderness, and you will destroy all the people, right? Because they're not understanding that this stuff is not just about them. And the more that they keep doing this stuff and not working together and with God instead of against God and the people of God, the more that they're creating more issues and problems to where God is angry with them, and he does things like, to discipline them about what they're doing. This is like a parent chastising their children. So Then they came near to him and said, "We will build sheepfolds here for livestock and cities for our little ones. But we'll take up arms, ready to go before the people of Israel until we have brought them to their place, and our little ones shall live in the fortified cities because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until each of the people of Israel has gained his inheritance." So now they're kind of compromising. Like, okay, we'll go to war. We're going to build this stuff. We're going to stay here. We're going to come back and help y'all do this. But we want this land for ourselves. We want to stay here. So he said, "For we will not inherit with them on the other side of the Jordan and beyond, because of our inheritance has come to us this side of Jordan." So they want this on this side of Jordan to the east. So Moses said to them, "If you will do this, if you will take up your arms and go before the Lord for the war," meaning go help them fight to gain the land, "and every armed man of you will pass over the Jordan before the Lord until he has driven out his enemies from before him, and the land is subdued before the Lord, then after that you shall return and be free of obligation to the Lord and to Israel, and this land shall be your possession before the Lord." So he agrees. Okay, listen, this is what y'all want to do. Y'all go ahead. As long as y'all help us fight, y'all help us get over here into this land, you help us conquer what God has already promised us. Okay, if you want this land, go ahead. But if you will not do so, behold, you have sinned against the Lord, and be sure your sin will find you out. So build cities for your little ones and folds for your sheep, and do whatever you have promised. And the people of Gad and the people of Reuben said to Moses, "Your servants will do as my Lord commands. Our little ones, our wives, our livestock, and all the cattle shall remain there in the cities of Gilead." So they're not going to go into Canaan, meaning they're going to pitch outside. That's where they're going to live and stay. "But your servants will pass over every man who is armed for war before the Lord to battle, as my Lord orders." So meaning they're going to give up their people that they need to give to help them fight and possess the land. So Moses gave the command concerning them to Eleazar the priest and Joshua the son of Nun to lead the heads of the fathers, the houses of the tribes of the people of Israel. And Moses said to them, "If the people of Gad and the people of Reuben and every man who is armed to battle before the Lord would pass with you over the Jordan, and the land shall be subdued for you, then you shall give them the land of Gilead as a possession." So he's letting them know this is what they want. "However, if they will not pass over with you, they shall not possess, anything among the land of Canaan." Meaning, because you have to go help fight. And the people of Gad and the people of Reuben answered, "What the Lord has said to your servants we will do. We will pass over armed before the Lord to the land of Canaan, and possession of our inheritance shall remain with us beyond the Jordan." So they're agreeing to this. So he took them to the Israelites, to the people. He presented this to them, let them know what they're going to help you go in, but they're not going to come with you. They're going to remain outside. So they're going to, build their little towns here, and then they're going to go and help us possess what God gave to us. Now, see, this is all about people helping you get to where you need to. This has a lot of symbolism, and we're going to get into it. So, and Moses gave to them the people of Gad and the people of Reuben, and to the half tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, the king of the Amorites, and the king of Og, king of Bashan, and the land and its cities with their territories. Now, the cities of the land throughout this country. So, and the people of Gad built Dibon, Adaroth, Oror, Atroth, Shofan, Jazer, Joked, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Harmon, fortified cities and folds for sheep. And the people of Reuben built Heshbon, Elialah, Kirithaim, Nebo, Baal, Meon, and their names were changed, and Sibmah, and they gave other names to the cities that they built. And the sons of Mechir, the sons of Manasseh, went to Gilead and captured it, and dispossessed the Amorites who were in it. And Moses gave Gilead Mechir, the son of Manasseh, and he settled in it. And Jair, the son of Manasseh, went and captured their villages and called them Havah, Jair. And Noba went to capture Kenath and its villages and called it Noba after his own name. So now we're going to get into it, because see, this has a lot of symbolism again. So in this chapter, we have the humble request of the tribes of Reuben and Gad for the inheritance on that side of the Jordan, where Israel now lay in camp. Right? So Moses' misinterpretation of the request was their explicitization of it and stating it right. All right. Now, the grant of their petition under the provisos and limitations what they themselves proposed. So he's going to give them what they requested. But we're going to look into this. Why? Because this was not a part of God's original plan. This is them making their own plan. So now let's get into this so here it goes. Now, Numbers chapter, okay. Let's see, I gotta go. Going down. Okay, where is it? Looking, hold on. Yeah, because I had to do a lot of looking up some stuff for this. Okay, that's 31. I'll get to 32. Give me 1 second. Because these last couple of chapters, they actually go inside with each other. They make a lot of sense when we start to look at them. They talked about the vows in 30. Then in 31, it was talking about, what was it? We're going to get it all together. Give me a second. That's why I had to, because it had its, Okay, so now, here we see in Numbers chapter 32, now the negotiation for the east side of the Jordan. So this is So now it talks about the story of Reuben and Gad and half of Manasseh asking to settle outside of the promised land on the east side of the Jordan because the land was ideal for their livestock. Now remember, this chapter is about desire versus destiny. This is what this is all about. Comfort versus calling. Negotiation versus obedience. Community responsibility. Generational consequences of settling early. This is so good. So the structural breakdown of this chapter is the tribes of Reuben and Gad see that the land of Jazer and Gilead is perfect for their herds. So they go to Moses and they ask him, let this land be given to us as our possession. Do not make us cross the Jordan, meaning to go into the promised land with the rest of them, choosing comfort over the crossing. Why? When all of this has happened, all of these things, you see the thought. See, it always started with a thought. You have a plan you're trying to build. God gave them this, whether it's your family. Remember, they are all related. All of these things, and you cannot even work together. Look how many outbreaks and outrages and mutinies and all these things, all because of what God gave them and told them to do. This is crazy. Why can't you work together, obey God, and just do what needs to be done? This is what we're seeing, a pattern of this. And this is what God did not want, and this is why he killed some of them off and allowed certain things to happen. The wilderness, all of this. Why? Because he wanted to kill off this unlawful rebellion inside of them. Remember, all of that is considered to be sin. It's considered to be sin. Why? Because it's disobedience. So, Moses' initial rebuke was, Moses reacts strongly. Shall your brothers go to war while you sit here? Meaning, you want the land, but we're all supposed to go fight for it. Now, if you want it, that's fine, but you still got to come fight for us to get what was rightfully ours, which is the promised land. Then if you want this, you can have it. Why? Because this is, but on top of that, he compares them to the 10 spies who was discouraging Israel. Why? Because now we're about to do this and you're bringing discouragement. This is not the time for this. It's time to go for war, to take what God gave us. We need to be focused. We need to be unified. We need to be spiritually ready. We need to be mentally, emotionally, physically ready. This is what we need to be. You don't need no discouragement right now. So he warns them. It's like a dream that you have and you're trying to get it accomplished and everybody got all this stuff. This is what this is about. He wants them that they may cause another generational setback. Right. Why? Because you're doing this stuff again, the rebelliousness. So your choices affect the whole community, right? Because it affects everyone. This is like planning stuff in your household, planning stuff at your job, whatever it is with your children. This is all about this. Like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And no one can come together. This is the problem. There's always been an issue. Now, the negotiation. Reuben and Gad clarified they will build the cities for their families and livestock. So they agreed to do that part. But they will cross the Jordan armed and fight until Israel receives the land. But only then will they return to settle on the east of the Jordan. So they still want what they want, regardless. So the theme of this is commitment must match the privilege, right? Because that's not what God gave you and told you to do. This is something you're coming up with on your own on the back end. Remember, people always have agendas and you have to pay attention because these are the people who are going to be stumbling blocks of you moving and getting to where you need to be, even if they're family, friends, whoever, and they need to be cut off. Why? Because they have to be cut off, because if not, what it is God has birthed in them and what he has promised them will not come to pass if they listen to them instead of God, meaning allow this stuff to continue on. Moses' condition. Moses agrees with the conditions, but they must fight until the land is subdued. And if they keep their word, they may return to settle east of the Jordan. If not, your sin will find you out. So integrity is non-negotiable. Why? Because this is what we all agreed upon. This is what God gave us. This is what he told us. And we're supposed to be in this together, fighting and working this together, instead of coming up with all this other extra stuff every time we turn around. So the final allocation, Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh tribe received the land of Gilead and Bashan, and they rebuilt the cities and renamed them. Now, the thing was, they settled early. This creates a different identity in geography, right? Because you're not sticking to the plan. See, when things are trying to be planned out and visions and all these things, and especially if you're going to benefit and everyone's, you need folks working together. Remember I told you about the everyone in the boat. No one wants to help paddle. No one wants to help do anything. This is what this is all about. Everyone wants to benefit, but no one wants to help. And then they want to do it their way, and they got their own agendas and all this other stuff. This is a problem. And this is where the deterioration, the breakdown, the rebellion, all these things come from. Spiritual architecture. The east side meaning equals settling before the promise. So these tribes chose comfort over calling instead of going with what God told them. Livestock over legacy, right? Proximity over possession. They are close to the promised land, but not in it. See? This is like asking God for a husband and not waiting on him. And picking and choosing and get the one you want, and then it don't work out later on. See, this is the type of stuff that this God telling you, be not unequally yoked. Being around people doing things that you're not supposed to be doing. This is what this, why? Because it caused a destruction, caused a breakdown. Comfort over calling. Why? Because the comfort is you want to do it your way. You want to be here. This is what you want. So instead of, doing what God says, whether you liked it or not, and going along with it, why? Because this is what he promised you. This is what he wanted. This was his vision. And a lot of times we have to give up what we want for what God wants. Why? Because automatically his vision, his plan for our lives is better than our own. Why? Because he sees things that we don't see. And a lot of times this be our issue. This be the weapons we form against ourselves that messes up. The stumbling blocks, the setbacks, the delays, the stagnation. A lot of this looks like. Why? Because while God is working, we're messing it up. So livestock over legacy. So they would rather have the livestock than the legacy. Proximity over possession. All of these things make no sense. This is like everybody living in grandma's house and letting grandma's house go under and not helping her save the house. Everyone living there benefiting, but then allow the house to foreclose instead of keeping it, because no one realizes the value of keeping grandma's house. Why? Because this is ownership. This is something we can have. But instead, we'll go pay rent somewhere else and let the house go, and grandma's house is gone, the legacy is gone, and we own nothing, and we spend our lives renting instead of owning. You see how that goes? That's the slave mentality. Proximity, see, over possession. Close to the promised land, but not in it. Proximity over possession, being near there, but not in it. That's crazy. So Moses feared repeating the generational wound, right? Going into the same old cycles, because doing these type of things, this is what takes us back into these. When you see folks trying to move forward and get out, and instead of helping, you're pulling them back, and you're only hurting yourself as well, especially if you're a part of that bloodline and lineage. Why? Because while that person is trying to reach and do better, and you're pulling them back, all you're doing is making it harder for yourself. Because see, that's if the devil really wants to get some situations going, he wants to destroy a bloodline. The one that's doing the best out of them, if he can get everyone else to come against them and destroy it, that will take out 5 to 10, at least 4 generations. Do you not understand? 4 generations of hard work that one person put in could help rescue 4 generations. And this is why he doesn't have a problem seeking out the chosen ones, because he wants to destroy them, because they have so much behind them. The impact that their lives is going to have behind. This is why they search for the bloodlines, like Moses and all of them. They want to kill them off. Why? Because then if they had to kill Moses off, okay, when he was born, the Israelites wouldn't have been delivered. And if they were, it would have been by somebody else. Why? This is why they seek the bloodline. They look it out. They watch the bloodlines to seek who's who and what's what. Don't think that they're not doing it. Why? They do that purposely, to kill that off. Any hope, any blessings, anything that God's going to do, because they know God always does something. He always raises someone. So this is their way of counteracting that. Okay? They're falling right into the trap. So, Moses' fear equal repenting the generational wounds. Right. He sees the same hesitation, the same discouragement, the same fear of crossing, the same potential to derail the destiny. All the small battles we are fighting instead of trying to focusing on winning the war. Everyone needs food, clothing, and shelter. We're all going to pay for it, right? So why would we want everyone to always be rinsing, not owning, not passing down generational wealth, always being poor, always being impoverished, the same old curses, the same old cycles over and over again repeating in our life? Why would we want to continue to pass that down? And if someone is trying to break it, why would you destroy them? Why would you, your own people, destroy that one person that is trying to help build and break those curses, so people to come after what actually have blessings upon their life instead of cursings? Why? Because you're not the one that was chosen to do it. That is sad. And that's the only reason that you have behind it. That is crazy. And this is what we see, especially in our community. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Everyone wants to be the boss, want to be in charge. They don't want anything to move forward if it's not them. But why is it that your contribution be just as important and potent on the other side of it as the ones who's helping, instead of being the one who's leading? And do you see how this go? Look how many times they tried to destroy Moses. Look at how many times they went against Moses. When all Moses is trying to do is help them, what sense does that make? That's like shooting yourself in the foot. Hello? Okay. Negotiation equals what? Partial obedience. That's one of the reasons. Okay, God didn't forbid it, but it wasn't the original plan. Why? Because if you want it and that's what you want, he'll let you have it. And this is how we find ourselves in these situations where we get angry because he'll give it to us and then we get mad. Okay, the kids want to move out. They want to do what they want to do. They want to live on the outside. They don't want to live in the house. They don't want to be where the blessings flow. Okay, you stay over there. You be over there and you do that. Now, then when stuff go wrong, you're going to want to come over here. That is the problem. When your plan don't work because you thought you knew better, then you angry with God. You angry. Why? Negotiation is partial. God didn't forbid it, but it wasn't the original plan. This is the spiritual category. Permissible, but not perfect. Allowed, but not aligned. Why? You're over there. You're out of God's will. The blessings was flowing over here. The promise is over here. You going off to do your own thing, that puts you outside of the camp, meaning outside of the head of protection. So whatever's going on with you, you leave yourself open for whatever's gonna come. Because when the enemy comes, God is hovering over where they are, where the promise is. You're outside of that, outside of the will of God. And this is how the curses are. You see the same thing with the plague. Had them do it to themselves. Do we not see this over and over again? Generational emotional architecture. Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh represent people who settle early. That's number one. People who choose comfort over crossing, meaning whatever it is we're going through is not going to be right now. We need to build. That means we need to tear down. We need to go through this process. It's going to hurt. We're not going to like it. But we're going to come out of this better. We're going to get to it as long as we keep at it. But see, folks don't like to put in the sacrifice, the blood, sweat, and tear equity in order. They want the promise. They want this, but the blood, sweat, and tear equity they don't want to put in. People who stay close to the promise but don't fully enter. They want to stay close enough but not want to be bothered. People will negotiate with destiny. God said, do it this way. You say, I want to do it that way. And we see this in our lives all of the time. We have no patience. We don't want to wait. This is what we do. And we mess ourselves up. Generational implication. These tribes later become the first to be attacked. You see that? So now, later on down the line, They're going to be the first line of when it's time for them to be attacked. They're going to be the first ones to get it. Why? Because they're on the outside. Like I said, the first to be exiled. See? And the most spiritually vulnerable. Why? Because settling outside the promise creates generational instability. You did it your own way. You were outside of God's framework. You were outside of everybody else's over here working together. Why are you over there by yourself? Hello, somebody. Okay, let's look at this. Identity and role framework. The group, Reuben and Gad, meaning comfort-driven tribes. They are comfort-driven. They don't want to do the work. They don't want to go through the process of the crushing, the breaking, the going through. They settle early, negotiate destiny. Why? They just want what they want now. Reminds me of the prodigal son. Moses, leadership and accountability. Right, because that's what it's going to take. Generational interpretation. Calling you to finish what you started. No matter what's going on, let's get through it. It ain't going to be easy, but it'll be worth it. Now, who's going to stick on with this situation 10 toes down and help build and grow? I mean, you got to break up ground, you got to pull out weeds, you got to do all this stuff. But nobody wants to go through the process, but they want to benefit. Israel, collective destiny, meaning their destiny is tied to each other. Your lineage depending on your choices. Why? Because they are family. These are the 12 tribes of Judah. These are the 12 sons. Collective destiny, everything we're going to inherit and do is going to be together. Why would you want to be over there? Half Manasseh, split identity, divided loyalties, and partial inheritance. This is what happens. When folks are divided, a house divided amongst itself shall not stand. When you got people doing all this other agendas and they ain't working with the same situation, all living in the same household, got their own everything because they want their own everything instead of working together, this is what you get. And you find this mainly in whose communities? And we are the ones need to be together the most. And we see that we do not band together. We do not stick together. We jump here, jump there for everyone else, fly by the seat of our pants. Any and everyone from the outside can tell us any and everything, and it is not profitable. It does not help us. It do not help build us mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, or spiritually. Look at what it does. Divide, conquer, separate. I don't care what you talk about. Dividing us, separating us, conquering us from who? God. From our significant others, meaning spouses, right? The men and women. Also, they want to bring in the homosexuality, other religions, races. On top of that, color, creed, age, all of these things. And when you look at the Willie Lynch letter, it makes a lot of sense. Education separates us. Looks, power, money, fame, all these things. Right. Pay attention. What they put in front of us, marry outside, don't be together, all these things, just pay attention. Why this chapter matters for us, given our work on generational patterns, identity restoration, destiny alignment, right? Emotional architecture, breaking cycles are almost, right? We want to break the cycles of almost making it or getting there and it all crumbled. It not being maintained and sustained and being passed down like everyone else's. This is what you call lineage. Getting things and building things and keeping things is two different things. This is what this is about. Breaking the patterns of that. Like I said, when it comes to what? Poverty, sickness, disease. When it comes to what? Sin, rebellion, not working together. All of these things against who? Against God and against each other. Because God is the one who's going to show us how to build, how to be in the line, how to love, how to grow, how to do all these things. We have to have him as the blueprint. We have to have him as the foundation. If not, it's not going to work. Numbers 32 is a warning and a blueprint. And it teaches what? Don't settle early. Don't negotiate your destiny down. Don't choose comfort over calling. Don't stop at close enough. And don't build your life outside of the promise. It's a chapter about finishing the crossing, being responsible, accountable, and finishing what you start. Now, when I was talking about this is about the vows and the oath. If you remember that we were talking about the vows and the oaths. Why? Because no matter what happened, God kept his oath and his covenant and his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob when it came pertaining to his children, even until this day. Providing, protecting them, expanding them, allowing them to prosper, allowing them to be fruitful and multiply. Yes, he did. Regardless of what they did, he kept his end of the deal. Now look, if you want to take a close look, let's look at it. So now, let's really look at this. We're going to look at it. Self-audit. Where am I settling early in my life? At the past, present, and future declaration set. Where are we settling? Look at it. Are we using comfort versus, calling? Are we settling because of these things? Have we done it in the past? Are we doing it now? Are we going to continue to do it in the future? Where am I settling? Okay. This order helps us identify the places we're choosing comfort over crossing, just like Reuben and Gad and half Manasseh. Now, comfort questions. Where am I choosing to feel safe over what is aligned? Right. Where am I staying close to the promise but not entering it? Where am I negotiating with destiny instead of obeying it? Fear questions. What am I afraid will happen if I cross the Jordan? Meaning going to the promised land. What part of me fears the responsibility of the promise? Right, because too much is given, much is required. No matter what we do, we got to fight for it. We got to get it. We got to maintain it. We got to tend to it. What old story is telling me to stay on the east side? Meaning to not move forward and stay over here. Not to take what God says, not to enter the promise. Community questions. Where am I expecting others to fight battles that I'm avoiding? Accountability. Where am I slowing down the collective destiny of in my lineage? Because everyone plays a part. And we're either building the lineage or we're tearing it down. So all of these self-sabotaging things, whether it's drug abuse, whether it's not, worshiping God, all these other idols, whether it's putting everything above him, whether it's us not sticking together, us not loving each other, us not, all of these things are things that would affect it. Let's just talk about it. Where are we repeating the same patterns of the 10 spies when they went out and they saw 8 of them saw nothing but discouragement, but the 2 saw we can get it, we can take it. Why? Because God had already promised it to them. Well, okay. Integrity questions. Where am I saying yes with my mouth, but not yet with my actions? I had to take a look at that too. Where am I promising to cross, but building houses outside the promise? That transition, you ain't moved over there, you ain't did it. It's stagnation, delay, procrastination, going backwards. This is all this is about. Destiny questions. What is the Jordan River in my life right now? What is the land that I'm meant to enter fully and I'm not there or haven't gone? What would crossing look like in action? Meaning going over and doing what God said do, getting the promise, doing what needs to be done. Because that's gonna entail transitioning. Things are being different, new. They're not holding on to the past and moving forward into the future. This is what this is all about. Getting what God actually wants us to have. Now, like I said, the comfort versus calling, the diagnostic chart. Identity, this is enough for me. That was the comfortable side. Calling to the promised land is I was made for more. That was what you would say. Emotion, avoidance, hesitation. On the other side, it would be courage and clarity when it comes to that. Action, delayed obedience. Right? Delayed obedience is still disobedience. Remember that. Rebellion, remember, we talked about that. But on the other side of that would be the full crossing. Mindset, negotiation instead of alignment. Meaning, I want to get something. I want to get out of this. I want to still be there, but I want to benefit, but I don't want to go right. Generational impact, vulnerability, instability, legacy is strength. That's the call and the promise. Because all of this is unstable. Double-minded man cannot never prosper, remember? Spiritual posture, partial commitment, full surrender will be the opposite. Why? Because that will be what God has planned. That's part of the promise. Relationships, staying where it's familiar. The other part is moving where it's fruitful. Why? Because that's where God wants you to do. Move forward. Okay, so now that we got that interpretation, let's see. If we see ourselves in the comfort column, we're living east of the Jordan. If we see ourselves in the calling column, we're crossing fully, meaning letting go of people, places, and things. Doing what he has taught you to do, not being delayed, not being stagnated, not walking backwards, but moving forward, no matter the fear, no matter anything that's going on. the mocking, the warfare that you may have to go through, standing tall and allowing it to be whatever God is going to do, and to holding on to his faith and knowing that it's going to happen, it's going to come, and waiting patiently and all this stuff you need, and preparing. Why? Because once you get there, you got your own work to do. All of these things. Whether it means preparing for battle, along with preparing for structure. Why? Because we have to structure this thing out once we get there, making plans, visions, right. Waiting on God to listen. This is what this is about. Step 1, identifying your east side. Write down the place you're settling, the thing you're choosing because it's comfortable, the area where you're negotiating with destiny. Right, and say, this is my east side, and I name it. Confront the pattern, just like Moses confronted Reuben and Gad, and says, I confront every pattern of settling early. I refuse to repeat the hesitations of the past generation, because those are curses. Those are the cycles. Remember, the thought, it starts with a thought of fear. Then it's the habit of practicing fear. Then it's the patterns and the cycles that continue to keep it going to where you're not moving. I will not discourage my own destiny. This is what this is about. Step 3, committing to crossing. This is the try, promise, and the fight. I'm going to cross regardless. I'm going to commit to crossing to the truth. Remember those oaths and those vows and those promises. This is what this is about. I commit to finishing what I started. I commit to entering the land assigned to me. Right. Align your actions. Why? This is what God gave us, and this is where we were headed from the beginning. Why am I veering off out misalignment and getting out of alignment with God all of a sudden? All this time. Every time you turn around, they got something else they want, another idea. Align your actions. Choose one concrete action that represents crossing. We do this. All of us have. Apply for the job. This is an example. Move forward with the plan. End the cycle, meaning break it. Say the thing. Make the decision. Say, my actions will match my calling. Number 5, seal the alignment. Just like Moses sealed with the agreement and the conditions. Say, I seal this alignment with integrity. I will not settle early. I will not negotiate my destiny down. I will cross fully into what is rightfully mine. Why? Because God already said he had it for you. He already said he mapped it out. He got it. This is your land. Just go into it. I'm going to tell you what to do. Look, and you got to look at the battles you fought already. A lot of times when we're in fear, and I have to tell myself this too, when I'm afraid, I look at how far he's brought me, because it's going to help you know that if he brought you this far, he didn't bring you this far to leave you. He's going to bring forth. You may have to be patient. You may go through some things. It may be a crushing time. You may have to go through, whatever, the fire, the water, whatever it is. But just know it's not going to be easy. It's going to be processed. It's going to take time. It's going to be uncomfortable at times. But if you stay the course and go through the process, it will be all worth it in the end. It wasn't easy, but it was worth it. I know, when I look at my life and I'm like, for me to rebuild, I have had to rebuild my life so many times. And I tell you, it's like, I'm like, Lord, how much more of this do I have to endure? And it's like, and I see sometimes I was not, but sometimes I did, and there's areas that I'm, okay in or strong in, and there's areas that I still have my issues like everybody else. They need strengthening, and God needs to help me in. But we have to look at them. We have to take the accountability, the assessment, and then we have to work from there. Because the things we need to work on, we need to, God, I need your help in these areas. And it's nothing wrong with that. Post fall, they got to get back up. They got to dust themselves off. And it's not about the falling. It's about the learning from it and moving forward from it. Because no one's perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to go through things. But how you go through things? Are we going to still have community? Are we still going to fight for each other? Are we still going to deal with each other? Are we still going to have each other's best interests at heart? Because God does, no matter what's going on. No matter what we did, if we fell out of covenant, if we sinned, if we backslid, he's still waiting for us to get it right. And he's sitting there waiting on us, because that's what parents do, or, most. They see, they know, because they know that you're prone to do these things. They know you have all this going on. They see the beginning, middle, and end, and they know. Meaning they see certain things, not beginning, middle. Because they can only see what up to what they know. God knows it all. As a parent, you only know, but I'm sure you know what I mean. So, even with your children, even at your job, whatever it is that you're having, going on. These are things that are so important for us to learn. And when I was looking, I was like, that these they overlap really, really well these last couple of chapters because it just really explained a lot. And I was like, well, dang, yeah, I see where the vow come in at. Because once you make a vow, yeah, you're supposed to keep to it. You know? So you have all of these different, stuff that's going on as far as with your life, and you're trying to figure it out. And God is trying to help us and show us. And sometimes we don't see it. We don't. Because this last one, 31, was about generational closure and rituals. Why? Because identity, the Midian pattern, is the same things. And God is cutting it off, cleaning it, pruning it, trying to, clear it. Yes, it happened. There was a disobedience, there was a disalignment, the rebellion. Okay, it happened. Now I'm going to clean it. I'm going to kill them off. I'm going to heal, deliver, and restore y'all. Cleanse y'all up and bring y'all back. And we're going to start again. But we're going to start this new pattern because we don't want to continue to have the same old patterns over and over again. Why? Because it will, once it's there, the seed will grow. Once it's planted, it's going to grow. That's why you reap what you sow, no matter what that is. Why? Because it's going to grow. Whatever you sow, you're going to reap it in due season. It could be good stuff. It could be bad stuff. It doesn't even matter. Even when it comes to our children, we look at our children and we see ourselves in them. Why? Because it's a lot of what, we are or who we are, our attitudes, our mouths, that are in the children. Not just your cute smile in your teeth. No. Along with your attitudes, along with if you were, let's say a mathematician and not all of these different things, we're going to see them in our children. So why? Because that's the seed. It came from us and it's going to bear some of the things that we have. Yes, it is. So it's like God is trying to heal us, deliver us, and restore us, but a lot of times we get in the way. And I know it's because we want to know, we're insecure, and this is why he has to heal us so we can trust him, so we can move forward in him, so that he can show us, you know what I'm saying? And everything he's doing is to show us that he's going to protect us, he's going to provide, we can be secure, that we can relax in him. Why? Because we have to trust in order to have faith, in order to have love, in order to have all these things. This is what we need to be, doing. Like I said, even when it came to chapter 31, when it was talking about the vow. Why? Because vows are important. And when you make a vow, just like in this situation, God made a vow to them. This is their vow. This is their promise that they're supposed to inherit this land. This is what this is all about. They're in covenant. They're in altars, covenants, contracts. This is what this is all about. Binding legal agreements. And not only in the spiritual realm, but in the natural realm. And when you don't, it can have consequences. Meaning you can reap blessings or curses upon yourself because you entered into agreement. And you did not see it through. So this is what you don't want to do, because the benefits of it is doing what you're in once you enter into it and fulfilling that, right? So that you can be blessed. But the other part of that is if you don't, that could cause yourself to curse. And when you cause yourself to be cursed, that is a weapon that not even the devil formed against you that shall prosper. Why? Because that'd be something that the devil didn't even have, but you gave him access, so now he's going to use it. Why? He has all rights. Remember the open doors, the legal ramifications. Remember, Satan is a legalist. And as long as he's a legalist, he's always monitoring you to see how he can get in to destroy you. He seeks, roaring like a roaring lion, he goes around to do what? Steal, kill, and destroy. That's your mental, emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual well-being. Please understand, this is you, your kids, your household, your grandkids. This is all of this. And up to how many generations? Because remember, these things could go up to 4 generations. At least 4. And for those who don't know that they have issues, they don't know what's going on, you need to look into it, because this could be why all of these things are happening throughout your life, throughout your bloodline, throughout your generations. This could be what it is. You got to look into it. I told you to trace your warfare. I told you to look at your lives, see what's in your life, in your bloodline, whatever that may be, in the spiritual and in the natural. Look at them both, because a lot of times they'll be mirroring. Well, I am getting sleepy, and I don't want to just keep you here, but I really, I really hope that this is being a blessing to people, because it sure has been a blessing to me. We don't want to break vows. We want to keep our identity. We want to discern. We want to break, replace, and reestablish when it comes to these old thoughts, habits, patterns, and cycles. Like the cycle, the thought of, because remember, the battlefield's in the mind. I would tell you to get that book by Joyce Meyer. She's written 2 of them. And it is very important, because everything starts with your thoughts in your mind. And whether they're your thoughts or someone else's thoughts, whoever's thoughts, you must take them captive. You cannot allow your mind to just wander off and be saying and doing what it wants to do in there, because that's where the seeds are planted. And then they'll grow in the triggers and in the ways that we react or respond to each other, to things. This is how that goes. Either we're going to remain calm, we're going to strategize, whatever it is, we're going to take it to God. Whatever it is. So these things are very, very important. And I'm hoping that this is helping. You know what I'm saying? Because even with the identity of vows, words spoken by you, words spoken over you, words spoken about you, words spoken to you, your children, all these words spoken in your lineage. Silent these agreements. Why? Because whatever is being spoken, if it's not being countered, remember, it will land and it will stay. It will be a lasting binding agreement until you disagree, or until you revoke it, renounce it, denounce it, divorce it, cast it into the pit of hell, chain, yoke, shackle, and bind it, and destroy it. That's what you have to do. But this is all about warfare, being in prayer and doing all these things, finding the scriptures and doing it. Why? Because this is how you get your breakthroughs. This is how God sees, hears to move forward and to help you in whatever it is you're going through. Even agreements in your dream and in your sleep, if it's made, it's legally binding. The ones that were made years ago, way back to Adam and Eve, our ancestors, with this idolatry worship, with this divination, all of these things bring upon curses upon our life. They talk about ancestors. No, that's putting you into bondage. That's putting you back up under the Pharaoh system, because that's the gods they worship. This is why you see all of the hieroglyphs. You see all of this stuff. This is what God was trying to warn us about, to tell us not to go back into this. Why? Because you're going to bring curses upon yourself, upon your children, up to the 4th generations. Why? It's an abomination. It's disobedience. It's rebellion. And whenever you see God putting that much emphasis where he destroyed the city or destroyed the place, remember, it wasn't about revenge. It was about justification. It was about rightful reintegrating, meaning restoring, healing, deliverance, and restoring them back to himself. Why? Because if he didn't, it would have ran rampant. It would have continued on in the bloodline. And every time you turn around, that would be a stumbling block, a hindrance, a blockage to what? Blessings, breakthroughs, harvest. And when we look at our lives and we see how Satan works and he gets us all riled up. Why? Because we don't want to be able to pay attention when he wants us distracted. He wants us to live defeated. Why? Because he doesn't want us to get to any place, one, knowing who we are in Christ, getting to our fulfillment of our destinies and our purpose. Why? Because we are a threat to him and his kingdom. We can disrupt a lot of their stuff. They don't tell us that, but this is what this is about. Anyway, like I said, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, but I'm going to let this one go because it's gotten a little, but you can go back and you can look at it yourself. You kind of pick it apart, seek, knock, so you shall find. And this is the way it should be. It's the way it should have always been. But when we go by what God tells us to do, our lives will be a whole lot better. But we're going to take it out, and that's Satan. That's by design. Like I said, the days of the week, the calendar, all of these things are deliberately done. They're changing the Sabbath day from Saturday to Sunday to be out of alignment with God. This is how we miss our blessings and breakthroughs. These Kairos moments in our lives, the ones that mean so much. Why? Because these is when the open heavens are there. And when you're out there praying during these times, this is the time when you're going to get your breakthroughs. When things align with God, when the obedience, when the process is going, this is where eventually he's going to what? Say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grant what she's requesting. Why? Because it's the course of heaven. Listen, when he gets ready, he can do what he wants. This is what this is about. Now, Satan is to stop you. His opposition, to accuse you, to distort you, to distract you, to lie, steal, kill, destroy you. This is what this is about. It is the total opposite of redemption, restoration, healing, deliverance. No, you won't get that from from Satan. You'll get that from God. Now it comes with some chastisement. It's going to come with some knowledge. You're going to have to, have these conversations as to what's going on. But it's worth it. Anyway, we're bruised and not broken. I'm just here sharing with you. God has shown me and how we should, operate. And it's to bring about the blessings and instead of curses. Because remember, the wages of sin is death. And so we want to have the abundant life that Christ promised us right here on earth as it is in heaven before we even leave here. But in order for that to happen, we have to do what it takes to do. Get away from people, places, and things, friends, all these things that do not mean well. They are stumbling blocks. They have been there to stagnate, to backwards, to late, to die, to delay, whatever. Let's put a stop to it. Let's break these generational curses. Let's break these chains, shackles, chains off of us. Let's walk in freedom and victory. Why? We are more than the conquerors. We are the righteousness of God in Christ Jesus. We have every right. But anyway, so I'm going to let this video go. It's been a little long. I hope that it is a blessing to someone. It was a blessing to me. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And until the next one, we are in Numbers chapter 32, and we are getting so close to getting to Deuteronomy. And it's going to make a lot of sense, a lot of this, because we went from Genesis to now when we get there. So I'm very excited about it. But be blessed. Love you guys. Bruised and not broken. Until the next word. Be blessed in Jesus' name. Amen.